Millionaire widower Rower followed his nanny after work. What he discovered changed everything. Carol, wait. Nathan Caldwell's voice broke through the soft drizzle as Carol Larson reached the last step of the grandstone porch, the autumn. Rain was light, but constant misting the polished walkway in. Silver. She turned sharply, her blonde ponytail damp, her canvas bag slung over one shoulder, her eyes tired, but steady met his. Is something wrong, Mr. Caldwell? Nathan took a step forward. Where are you going in such a hurry? You have been leaving early a lot lately. Carol's expression didn't change, but she adjusted the strap on her bag. I have personal matters to attend to. My shift ended at 7. Oh, 0, sir. I believe I am free to go. Nathan narrowed his eyes. Not unkindly, but with concern. I heard you on the phone last night. You sounded stressed. You said you needed a large sum of money. Is everything all right for a second? Carol froze. Just enough for him to notice that was a private conversation, she replied, her voice tight. I know it was, but you care for my son. He adores you. I just need to know if there is something I should be worried about. Carol's grip on the canvas bag tightened. If you no longer trust me, perhaps you should find someone else to watch. Noah. Nathan flinched. That hurt more than it should have. She turned and descended the stairs quickly, boots splashing in the shallow puddles, her figure soon swallowed by the soft darkness past the front gate. The glow from the porch light flickered behind her, casting long, uncertain shadows inside the mansion felt emptier than usual. Nathan walked back into the study, poured himself a scotch, and stared out through the tall rain-flecked windows. The house, once built to impress, now echoed with silence. He had designed it that way, clean, controlled, impenetrable, a place without surprises. But Carol, she was different since she started working there 6 months ago. She had brought something to the house. He hadn't realized he missed warmth. Noah, once withdrawn, since his mother's death, had opened up. He laughed again, he played, he smiled, and it was Carol who had brought that out of him that morning. Nathan had watched from the hallway as Noah in his pajamas tugged at Carol's hand and whispered, Can you stay tonight just until I fall asleep? Carol had smiled soft and sincere and knelt to tuck his stuffed rabbit into the crook of his arm. Not tonight, sweetheart, but I'll be back first thing in the morning, that's a promise. Nathan had felt something in his chest, then something quiet, something hopeful. But now, after her sudden departure and the phone call he'd overheard, I replayed the words in his mind. I need it soon. No, I cannot ask anyone else. I am doing everything I can. No mention of a family emergency, no context, just desperation. He knew what his mind wanted to do, protect his son, but his heart was conflicted. Carol had never been anything but kind, still secrets. Especially when tied to money never ended well, he had learned. That painfully after Jennifer, after Amelia, after watching people change the moment they realized how much he was worth. His fingers hovered over the security panel. A few clicks and the screen lit up. He reviewed footage from the day before. Carol arriving right on time, brushing Noah's hair, organizing the craft drawer, reading bedtime stories on the couch. Nothing suspicious, nothing wrong, except the call she had stepped out onto the back terrace, phone pressed close. She didn't see the camera's angle. I'm trying, I said. I'm trying. I just need more time. Do not give up on me. Nathan muted the clip. The tone in her voice, strained, anxious, played over and over in his head. It wasn't fear, it was pressure, desperation. He stood abruptly, drink. Forgotten he didn't want to be this man, the one who doubted good people. But if something was happening behind his back, and it put Noah in danger, he needed to know. Pulling on his coat, he grabbed his keys and headed for the garage. He slid behind the wheel of his black Mercedes and started the engine. The quiet hum, filling the silence through the windshield, the rain, blurred the world into streaks of light and shadow. He pulled out slowly, headlights off, keeping his distance, as he turned down the street in the direction Carol had gone. Maybe she was just trying to survive. Maybe she had a past she was hiding. Maybe she was everything she claimed to be, and maybe, just maybe, he was about to uncover something that would change everything he thought he knew tonight. He would follow her tonight. He would find the truth even if it broke. The only fragile connection he had left. Nathan's black Mercedes idled 2 blocks from the mansion, its headlights off. Engine low, rain traced lines down the windshield as he watched. Carol boarded the city bus, her canvas bag hugged tightly to her side. She did not look back. He followed from a careful distance, heartbeat pounding. This felt wrong, like betrayal. But the suspicion refused to quiet. She was hiding something. He needed to know what the bus traveled south, leaving behind Seattle's glass towers and winding into older neighborhoods. Nathan's eyes tracked every turn, his grip tightening on the wheel. Finally, Carol disembarked in a neglected district, cracked sidewalks, flickering street lamps, graffiti. Tagged buildings. She crossed the street and stepped into a faded blue building with a crooked sign, Hope Haven Community Center. Nathan parked across the street through rain-speckled windows. He saw her greeted warmly by a gray-haired woman, then ushered into a brightly lit room filled with children. Some sat on mats, others fidgeted with crayons and paper. Carol knelt among them, her voice lost behind the glass from her bag. She pulled out books, markers, paper dolls. A small girl hesitated at first, then slowly moved closer as Carol helped her draw a stick figure house with flowers out front. Carol smiled, gentle, patient. Riel, a boy, sneezed behind her without hesitation. She pulled a scarf from her own neck and wrapped it around. Nathan blinked. The scarf was hand-knit. He had seen her working on it in the mansion on lunch breaks. She had not made it for herself. He watched for nearly an hour. Carol read stories aloud. She crouched to meet children at eye level, adjusted buttons on a little boy's coat, held a crying girl until she calmed. She laughed when they laughed. She moved as if this place, this crumbling, underfunded space, was her true home. Nathan leaned back in the seat, overwhelmed. She had not been hiding deceit. She had been hiding kindness. He looked at the box of pastries beside him, a leftover from his kitchen staff. Without thinking, he scribbled a note for the children from someone who believes in them. He placed it with the box, crossed the street, and quietly left it. Just inside the community center's door before retreating back in his car, he watched through the window as Carol found the package. She paused, puzzled, then smiled. Soft and slow, she read the note twice. He saw her touch her chest briefly. Nathan exhaled. The next morning, Carol arrived for work 10 minutes. Late cheeks, flushed hair, damp from the walk. She held the note in her hand. Mr. Caldwell, she said carefully, standing just inside the kitchen. Yeah, did you leave something at Hope Haven? He didn't turn. Maybe why he faced her, because I was wrong about you. She blinked. You followed me. He nodded once. You thought I was stealing. I did. His voice was low, but I saw something else. You, with those kids, it was beautiful. Carol looked down at the note. They loved the pastries. Thank you. You shouldn't have to do it alone, he said. Let me help. She hesitated. This isn't charity. I know it's admiration. Their eyes met, and for the first time, something soft passed between them, like the beginning of trust. Nathan sat at his desk in the study, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the dark wood. His laptop screen displayed a modest website, plain, functional, heartfelt. Hope Haven Community Center, serving Seattle's forgotten families. He scrolled through blurry photos of volunteers, community dinners, after-school programs. In the corner of one picture, Carol knelt beside a child holding a paper heart with "Believe in Yourself" scrolled in crayon. They were running out of funding. Donations were down. The heater had broken. Twice this winter, Nathan closed the browser and leaned back. Silent that evening, he made a few discreet calls. By midnight, a shell company he often used for anonymous philanthropy had wired $50,000 to Hope Haven. He slept better than he had in weeks. The next day, he lingered longer than usual. In the kitchen, Carol arrived in her usual quiet way, hair tucked behind her ears, sleeves rolled up. Good morning, Mr. Caldwell, she said, setting down her bag. Carol, he said, pretending to sip coffee. How's Noah doing with his letters? She smiled. Getting better. He writes his name backwards sometimes, but he's proud of it. Nathan chuckled. Sounds like his mother. Carol's smile faded slightly, but she nodded. He talks about her. I hope you don't mind answering questions, he said carefully, but I was wondering what made you want to work with children. Carol's hands stilled over the lunch she was packing. I grew up in a group home. No parents, no siblings, just a rotating door of social workers and bunk beds. She took a quiet breath. There was one volunteer who came every week to read to us. She brought paperbacks and cookies. She only stayed a year, but I never forgot her. Nathan said nothing, afraid of interrupting the rare openness in her voice. I promised myself if I ever got out, I'd do the same for someone else. Noah ran into the kitchen at that moment, still in socks. Miss Carol, look, I drew us in the park. She knelt, examining the scribbled stick figures as beautiful. Noah, you even remembered the slide. Nathan watched her tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. Listen to the softness in her voice. She had given his son something he had not been able to give himself. Family that evening. When Carol left for Hope Haven, Nathan placed a small wrapped box on the table by the door. Inside was a deluxe set of colorful building blocks, enough for 10 children. He added a note, in clean, careful handwriting for Noah and his friends, from someone who believes in play. The next morning, Carol picked up the box with gentle fingers. This wasn't here yesterday. Noah mentioned his friends didn't have many toys. Nathan said, feigning casualness. She narrowed her eyes, then softened. Thank you, I'll make sure they get it. Nathan nodded, hiding the twist in his chest. Hope. That was what she gave him, subtly, steadily, without asking for anything in return. And for the first time in years, Nathan wanted to give something back. The morning light streamed softly through the tall windows of the Caldwell living room, casting golden patches across the floor, where Noah sat. His coloring book spread wide. Carol knelt beside him, her voice gentle, as she read aloud from a picture book about a bear who built a treehouse for his friends. Nathan leaned against the doorway, watching them from a distance. There was something soothing in the cadence of Carol's voice, something grounding in the way Noah nestled close to her side when the story ended. Carol closed the book and ruffled Noah's hair. Go wash your hands before breakfast. Okay, buddy. Noah nodded and skipped off toward the bathroom. Nathan stepped forward. You're really good with him. Carol looked up, surprised. Thank you. He hesitated. Can I ask you something personal? She tensed slightly. I suppose last week, when I followed you? He stopped, suddenly unsure how to phrase it. I saw what you were doing at the community center, but I don't understand why I keep it a secret. Carol exhaled slowly. Because people don't always see good intentions, they see distractions, lack of professionalism. I worried you'd think I wasn't dedicated enough to this job. I don't, Nathan said quietly. I think what you're doing is remarkable. She sat on the couch, curling her hands in her lap. There's a girl, Lily. She's 9, lost both parents in a fire last year. She doesn't talk much, won't meet anyone's eyes. The therapist at Hope Haven said she needs regular sessions, maybe medication, but we don't have the funds. Nathan felt a dull ache in his chest. I've been working weekends at a bookstore. Carol continued, trying to cover the cost for one session a week. That's why I've left early a few times. Not because I don't care about Noah. He sat down across from her. I never should have. I doubted that. She smiled faintly. I've never had. Too much. Grew up counting coins for milk. People assume you're lazy or irresponsible if you come from nothing. I've worked so hard to build trust in this role. I didn't want to jeopardize that. Nathan's throat tightened. I understand. She glanced up. Do you? He nodded. I lost my wife 3 years ago. Cancer, quick and cruel. After that, I stopped letting people in. Everyone wanted something: money, access, influence. I became someone who checked security footage instead of asking questions. I was scared to trust. Carol's eyes shimmered. That kind of loss. I can't imagine. I think he said, voice low. We're both a little afraid of being hurt, of being seen. She gave a shaky laugh. You'd think helping others would make us feel braver, but it doesn't always make us feel safe. He added. Silence settled between them. Then quietly, Carol said, sometimes I wonder if someone like me with my past can ever be truly loved. Nathan's chest twisted. You deserve more than love. You deserve safety, belief, respect. Her shoulders trembled. You don't know how much I needed to hear that. He didn't reach for her hand. He didn't dare. But in that moment, something shifted. An understanding, a thread of fragile trust. That afternoon, Nathan made a call to a private therapy network. He arranged through an affiliated nonprofit to sponsor Lily's treatment weekly sessions, with a trauma specialist fully covered, no name attached. The next time Carol came home from Hope Haven, her eyes were red but shining. The therapist said they received a grant for Lily, a full scholarship. I don't know who arranged it, but he smiled. Sometimes good things find their way to good people. Neither of them said anything more, but they both felt it. Quiet healing that comes not from grand gestures, but from finally being seen. The early morning air inside the Caldwell estate felt heavier than usual, like a storm that never quite came, but still left everything damp. Carol moved quietly through the kitchen, preparing Noah's breakfast. Her quoting 8 motions practiced and precise across the marble island. Nathan watched her coffee cooling in his hand. He cleared his throat. Carol, I've been thinking. She looked up briefly. Yes, Mr. Caldwell. Nathan hesitated. I want to offer you a new position, a full-time household manager, higher pay, fewer hours. It would give you time for your studies and to continue your work at Hope Haven. Carol froze her hand, pausing mid-reach for the toaster. He continued gently, "You've done so much for Noah for me. I want to support what you're doing, social work, the center. You should have space to pursue those dreams without burning out." For a moment, Carol said nothing. Then she placed the bread in the toaster and turned away. "I appreciate the offer truly, but I have to decline." Nathan's brow furrowed. "Why? Because I need to do this on my own," she replied, keeping her back to him. "If I accept your help, if I become dependent on your generosity, I don't know if I'll ever stop feeling small," he echoed, confused. "Like I don't deserve where I am," she said quietly, "like it's all charity instead of merit." Nathan's heart sank. "Carol, that's not how I see you at all, but it's how I see myself," she whispered. From that day forward, something shifted. Carol remained professional, punctual, polite, but distant. She no longer lingered to read with Noah. She no longer joined Nathan for casual morning chats or asked about his weekend plans. Her answers were brief, her smiles faint and fleeting. Nathan felt the void like a cold wind through a broken window. He tried to reach her. "How's Lily doing?" he asked one afternoon. "She's improving," Carol said without looking up from the dishes. "In your classes?" "Fine." It was like speaking through glass. He told himself to let it go, to respect her boundaries. But at night the house echoed louder. Noah missed her stories. Nathan missed her laughter. The spark that had once quietly bloomed between them had been shuttered, and he didn't know how to open the window again. Was it because of him? Because he had too much? Because she felt she had too little? Or was it something deeper? Her fear of needing anyone, and his fear of being needed. Weeks passed in the slow, aching rhythm of a goodbye unspoken. Then one Wednesday morning, Carol stepped into his study. "I need to talk to you," she said, clutching a folder to her chest. Nathan rose slowly. "Of course I'm giving my notice." The words landed like a punch. "I've been accepted into a part-time university program in social work, and Hope Haven needs more of me. Now that we're expanding services, it's time." He swallowed hard. "You're leaving. I'll stay 2 more weeks to train a replacement," she added quickly. "Noah deserves a smooth transition." Nathan nodded, though his hands trembled slightly. "I see." She hesitated. "I'm grateful for everything. Mr. Caldwell, you've been more generous than I ever expected." He gave a tight smile. "I only ever wanted the best for you." Carol's lips parted as if she wanted to say something more, but she didn't. She turned and walked out, leaving him staring at the empty doorway. That night, Nathan sat at his desk long after the house had gone quiet. He pulled out a piece of cream-colored stationery, his handwriting slow and deliberate. "To whom it may concern," he began. It was a letter of recommendation. Eloquent, glowing, honest. He spoke of Carol's dedication, her integrity, her impact on a grieving child and a broken home. He sealed the envelope and slid it into a second one, addressed to a scholarship committee at a prestigious foundation. Inside, he included a note. "Her past should not define her future. She is the kind of person the world needs more of. Help her get there. She deserves every dream she dares to chase." He didn't sign it. 2 days later, Carol received the scholarship award letter in her mailbox at Hope Haven. She stared at it in disbelief, then noticed the enclosed recommendation, her name written in looping familiar ink. There was no signature, but she knew. She pressed the paper to her chest, eyes closing, heart full and breaking all at once. He was letting her go, respecting her choice, supporting her anyway, and it made her question everything she thought she knew about strength and love and what it truly meant to be seen. The autumn sun filtered gently through the thinning leaves, casting golden patches of light across the park, benches, and playground. Nathan spotted Carol near the community garden, her blonde ponytail catching the breeze as she knelt beside Lily, guiding the little girl's hand across a page of a picture book. Other children buzzed around them, laughing, shouting, chasing each other, but Carol remained calm and focused, her soft voice grounding. The moment he approached slowly, unsure if he had the right to disturb her world, she looked up just as he reached the edge of the playground. "Nathan," she said, surprised. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said, hands in his pockets. Carol stood brushing leaves from her jeans. "You're always welcome here. This park belongs to everyone. I needed to see you." Nathan admitted to say something I should have said a long time ago. She gestured toward a nearby bench. They sat a comfortable distance between them. Lily waved goodbye and ran off to join a group near the swings. "I followed you that first night," Nathan said after a beat, "the night you left early with the canvas bag." Carol's shoulders tensed. I thought you were hiding something, he continued. I had all these suspicions. I've seen people take advantage before. People I trusted, I was afraid. She didn't look at him, only nodded slowly. But then I saw you with the children, and it changed me, he said, his voice softer now. You taught me more about kindness in one night than I've learned in 35 years. Carol's eyes shimmered. I knew you didn't trust me, I felt it, and I hated that I cared. Nathan turned to her fully. Why didn't you ever tell me the truth? Because I was afraid too, she whispered. Afraid you'd see me as a charity case, a poor girl with a tragic story. I didn't want your pity. I didn't want to be another project you never were, he said fiercely. I grew up being told I wasn't enough. She continued. My shoes were too worn. My lunches too simple. My dreams too big. Kids laughed at me, teachers pied me. I told myself I'd never let anyone define me. By what I lacked, Nathan exhaled slowly. I know what it's like to build walls. He looked down at his hands, the weight of memories tugging at the edges of his voice after my wife died. Everything collapsed. I couldn't protect her. I couldn't protect Noah from the grief. I closed up, locked the gates, shut out the world. I thought safety meant solitude. Carol's gaze softened. I watched you bring life back to this house, he said. You gave Noah his laughter again. You gave me hope. And somewhere along the way I fell in love with you, Carol gasped, her hand instinctively covering her mouth. But I was too afraid to admit it, he added, because I thought you'd never want someone like me broken wealthy. Yes, but empty. Damaged. A tear slipped down Carol's cheek. You think I'm not afraid? She whispered. You think I haven't fallen in love with you too and told myself it was impossible? Nathan reached for her hand, hesitated, then took it gently. Then why are we letting fear win? She blinked away tears. Because love like this feels too big, too risky. He squeezed her hand. But it's real, isn't it? Carol nodded. Slowly, eyes locked on his. Yes, it's real. They sat in silence. Hands entwined, the laughter of children ringing around them like music for the first time. The distance between them wasn't a chasm. It was a bridge. Nathan reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. I've been keeping this, he said, writing down all the things you said to Noah, your words when he was scared, when he missed his mom, when he doubted himself. Carol opened the notebook slowly. Inside, in Nathan's neat handwriting, were dozens of quotes. You're stronger than you think. Being kind is the bravest. A thing you can be. No storm lasts forever. On the final page, one last spared alone, you're my inspiration. Carol clutched the book to her chest, tears spilling freely. Now I don't know what the future holds, Nathan said, voice thick. But I know this. I don't want to face it without you. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. Me neither, and for the first time in a long time, neither of them felt afraid. The grand ballroom of the Hope Haven Gala shimmered with crystal chandeliers and soft golden light tables draped in white linen were surrounded by well-dressed guests, community leaders, donors, parents, and children, whose lives were touched by the center at the far end. A raised stage was set for tonight's presentation. Carol stood behind the podium, her blonde hair softly framing her face. She wore the lamis on the Lobergata, deep blue dress, simple yet elegant, and her eyes scanned the room filled with familiar faces. Parents she had comforted, children she had taught. Her heart thumped in her chest. Good evening, everyone, she began, voice steady. A hush fell as she continued. I stand here tonight because of Hope Haven and because of the extraordinary people who believe in its mission. But there's someone here who changed everything for me. She paused, and a faint murmur rippled through the audience. Carol took a breath. He asked me to call him someone special, and I want to thank him for helping me believe I deserve to dream bigger. Nathan sat at a table near the front, heart pounding. He saw the way the audience turned to look at him, where once suspicion and uncertainty filled his chest. Now only anticipation and pride. He lifted his hand in a small wave, hidden behind his champagne flute. Carol reached the final line. So thank you, she said softly, for reminding me that my past does not define my future. Applause swelled, and she stepped away from the podium, scanning the room. She saw Nathan rising slowly from his seat, eyes bright with emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, the gala MC stepped forward. We have one final surprise. Please welcome Mr. Nathan Caldwell to the stage. Nathan crossed the room suit, jacket barely moving, and stepped onto the stage. The applause grew louder. He cleared his throat as he spoke. His voice carried through the room with sincerity. Good evening. I am humbled to stand here tonight to finally say what I should have said a long time ago. A few months back, I anonymously supported Hope Haven because I believed in its mission. I met a woman. This woman who embodies everything. It stands for compassion, resilience, love. Her name is Carol Larson. Carol's hand flew to her mouth. The audience leaned forward. I followed her to this very park, to Hope Haven, to see for myself how she taught and held our children together. I watched her pour her heart into kids who needed more than just help. They needed hope. And I realized I was wrong to doubt her. I was wrong to think her story was anything but beautiful. Pause, voice thickening. Carol, I'm sorry for not trusting you. Sooner I fell in love with your kindness long before I understood it. I love you, and I want to say that publicly because you deserve to be seen for who you truly are. Silence held the room. Then the audience burst into applause, soft at first. Then building into a standing ovation, tears glistened in many eyes, Carol's included. Nathan offered his hand to Carol. She stepped forward, heart pounding. He took her hand gently, guiding her to stand beside him, and to Nathan's delight, Noah waddled up behind Carol, wrapping her waist in his small arms. Mommy, he called loud enough that the crowd fell silent again. A gasp went through the room. Carol knelt to embrace him. Tears streamed down her face as Nathan wrapped his free arm around both of them. They are my heart, Nathan said, and they are my family. Soft gasps and more applause filled the room. Carol rose, looked out at the faces, and then locked eyes with Nathan. My family, she whispered. Nathan reached behind his back, withdrew a small velvet box, and knelt one knee on the stage. Carol Larson, will you? Will you make me the happiest man alive? Will you marry me? And will you let Noah and me build a life of trust, love, and purpose with you? Silence, then cheers, erupted Carol, knotted tears falling freely. He opened the box to reveal a delicate ring engraved with 3 tiny names. Carol, Nathan, Noah. He smiled up at her, a single nod, and the audience rose in hoops and applause. Nathan rose, placed the ring on her finger, and they shared a gentle, heartfelt kiss. Cameras flashed the room, soared with joy. Then Nathan cleared his throat. Before we lose the moment, he said, voice light but full of emotion, I want to announce something. He stepped back to the edge of the stage. Starting tonight, I am establishing the Carol Larson Scholarship Fund in honor of Carol's dedication to education and children. This fund will support orphaned and low-income children in pursuing their college dreams, because everyone deserves hope. The crowd erupted anew in cheers. Carol covered her mouth, stunned. Nathan stepped forward, sweeping her into a warm hug. He had come to give her everything he could: love, trust, respect, and now she would carry his name into the future, helping countless others find hope. Noah, strap around her waist, grinned, and the family stood there together, soaking in the love and celebration. The gala closed with laughter, toasts, dancing. But on the stage, under the warm light, Carol and Nathan stood hand in hand, his arms secure around her, hers resting on his heart. They had conquered their fears, built trust across 2 worlds, and now love blossomed fully. It was more than reconciliation. It was rebirth. And tonight, everyone present witnessed it. The sun dipped low over the Pacific, casting golden hues across the waves as they kissed the shore. Breeze was soft, gentle, tugging lightly at Carol's long, blonde hair. She walked barefoot along the beach, hand in hand with Nathan, while Noah skipped just ahead of them, his laughter bright and pure against the music of the ocean. It had been a month since the gala, and life had shifted, not with the force of a storm, but with the quiet certainty of a tide. A Hope Haven continued to thrive. Carol had accepted a leadership role, guiding programs for children like she once was. Nathan stepped back from daily corporate affairs, choosing instead to invest in people and purpose. And Noah, he no longer woke crying in the night. His nightmares had been replaced by bedtime stories and morning hugs. As the trio strolled the shoreline, Nathan paused. He turned to Carol, his eyes catching the last fire of sunset. There's something I want to ask you, he said softly. Carol smiled, amused, another surprise. He nodded, then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Opening it, he revealed a simple, elegant ring. It sent her a tiny carved star. A star, she whispered. For hope, he replied, for the light you brought into our lives. Carol, will you marry me? Will you be our home? She blinked back, tears, laughter catching in her throat. Yes, she breathed. Yes, Nathan, 1,000 times yes. Noah ran back just in time to see Nathan slip the ring onto her finger. Are we a family now? He asked, hopeful eyes searching theirs. Carol knelt and pulled him into her arms. We always were, sweetheart. Nathan joined them, wrapping his arms around both. They stood that way, the three of them, framed by sky and sea. Later Noah drew. In the wet sand, with a stick, 3 stick figures holding hands under a smiling sun above them. In uneven letters he wrote, My family. Nathan read the words, then turned to Carol. I was so afraid once, afraid to trust, to feel. But you were worth the leap. She leaned against him. So were you. Thank you for watching this heartwarming story. If you believe that kindness can change a life, and that genuine love can heal even the deepest wounds, then you are in the right place.